the name of God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. God has given us a wonderful gift. God has given us an absolutely amazing gift. And as far as anyone can tell, we are the only creatures on earth to receive this gift. And to push it a little bit, maybe the only ones in all the universe. It is the gift of imagination. Imagination. It allows us to go to the four corners of the world. It allows us to engage in brilliant repartee with friends and foes alike. I don't mean to brag, but I have never lost an argument that took place in my imagination. With imagination, any of us here can dance with the stars, sing with the angels, run with the deer. With imagination, you can drop out of this sermon and spend the next few minutes nibbling hors d'oeuvres on your yacht as it drifts through the Caribbean. You won't do that, of course, because it's Lent and you're here. Imagination is that kind of an amazing gift. And we use it in almost every aspect of life, but we hardly ever use it when it comes to the Bible. We hardly ever use it with the Bible. We have the idea that when somebody opens the Bible, that we immediately need to furrow our brows and concentrate on the text and what it means, and we fortify this belief with bits of Hebrew and shards of Greek and commentaries and tested traditions, and all kinds of heavy lifting things come together. And that's really important. That approach is deeply rewarding. It has fed us for centuries. It is the reason most of us are here. It's a wonderful thing. But our spiritual ancestors had a broader idea, had a broader notion. For the last 2,500 years, Jewish scholars have enjoyed the fruits of what they call midrash. Midrash. It's a word that means seeking, inquiring, to expound. It's a way of taking the biblical text and then going beyond what it tells you and wondering what the message might be there. It never really caught on in Christianity, and we have been the poorer for it. The Sunday Forum series here at St. Paul's is about taking a closer look at midrash modern Christians. We started this morning, we got 2 more weeks. But I want to take this bit of time and the first lesson that we heard this morning and show you how it works, what doors it can open for our own lives before God. So, the first lesson for today, it's printed in front of you, you heard it. Story of Abraham. Now, Abraham is the central figure in this story, and rightly so. Because Abraham is a giant in our faith. He's so foundational that Judaism, Christianity, and Islam all trace our lineage back to Abraham, and we call ourselves Abrahamic. We all look to Abraham. And in the story of Abraham and his great faithfulness, there was God's promise that he would have a son. That he would have a son, and through the son, his name would be carried into the future. And the setting for this morning's lesson, what we heard this morning, is that biological clocks have been ticking. Time has gone by. Abraham and his wife Sarah are getting a little long in the tooth. And Abraham is afraid that the promise of a son will not be fulfilled. So he laments before God. He laments before God that if he continues childless, The heir to his house would be his servant Eliezer of Damascus. Now, traditional scholarship blows past that point without even a glance. Midrash, stop. Midrash, wait a minute. Wonder a little bit. If Abraham thought that Eliezer was going to inherit the business, so did Eliezer. Eliezer thought he was going to inherit the business. The view through Midrash shifts from the center where Abraham is over to the corner where Eliezer is. He would inherit Abraham's business, his household. What a tantalizing prospect that must have been. A servant inheriting the household. I mean, could Carson ever own Downton Abbey? I mean, it's like Tiger Woods' caddy playing the back nine at Augusta. It just doesn't happen. It's just amazing. Eliezer, because I think he's like the rest of us here, Eliezer had a place down inside of himself, a secret place where enticing possibilities easily morph into certainties. You have a place like that inside. You go there. You'd never say it out loud, of course, neither would Eliezer, but he knew. He knew he was going to take over. He knew he was going to be in charge someday. Unlikely as that may be, it was going to happen. He knew he was going to make partner. He knew he was going to get into the best college. He knew he was going to place first string. He knew he was going to make that sale. He knew that beautiful person was going to want to marry him. He knew. He knew there was no way in the world that Abraham and Sarah could have a child at their age. So at night, before he went to sleep, he went down to that secret place where possibilities become certainties. And he could see himself sitting at Abraham's desk. And he might want to move it a little closer to the open tent flap than Abraham did, but he'd sit at the desk. And he'd make big decisions. He'd make big decisions, and he would command scores of grateful underlings. And he carefully rehearsed the modest acceptance speech he would make when that windfall came his way. You know what it's like. You know what went on inside of him, because that's what goes on inside of all of us at different times. Possibilities create vulnerabilities. Hope obscures history. What might be disguises itself as what is. Imagination can be dangerous. We can be hurt by it. That's exactly what happened to Eliezer. Because against all odds, Sarah did become pregnant. Sarah became pregnant and had a son. And Abraham and Sarah were so giddy with joy at that, so excited at that, that they named this child Isaac. It's a word that means laughter. And they laughed, and they laughed, and they laughed. And they named their child Laughter. And the whole household laughed with them. Everybody laughed and laughed at their good fortune. Everybody except Eliezer, for whom the door slammed shut, in whom the dream died, for whom the bright future faded into the dull status quo. That's where Midrash can take us, beyond the text and into the exploration of life we would otherwise have missed. But like the biblical texts themselves, our speculations can't stop with mere storytelling. That's not the point. We can easily see how Eliezer might become vulnerable and gotten hurt by speculations. But the really important question, and what makes it really valuable for people like you and me, is what did he do about it? What do you do about it? What do people do when they get hurt that way? What do you do when imagination outruns reality and it hurts you? So what did Eliezer do? Did he choose the easy, wrong things? Did he become bitter? Did he blame others? Did he become cynical? Did he become destructive? Did he protect himself from future hurt by never hoping again, closing himself off? Or did he perhaps turn to the difficult right things? Did he recognize how his own fantasies contributed to his pain? Did he look around and acknowledge the innocence of the others? Did he manage to affirm the principles and practices that brought him that hope in the first place? Eliezer could not have known the words, but he might have sensed the wisdom of what Anne Morrow Lindbergh, who knew a great deal about suffering, was to write many, many centuries later. Anne Morrow Lindbergh wrote these words. She said, "I do not believe that sheer suffering teaches. If suffering alone taught, all the world would be wise, since everyone suffers. To suffering must be added mourning, understanding, patience, love, openness, and the willingness to remain vulnerable. Willingness to remain vulnerable." So what did Eliezer do? I have no idea. I have no idea what he did. And in many ways, it doesn't matter to us what he did or did not do when the baby called laughter was born. What does matter is what you and I do when, like Eliezer, we let our hopes and ambitions make us vulnerable to the pains of disappointment. Easy wrong things or the difficult right things. Eliezer's story really doesn't matter anymore. Yours does. And mine does. That's how Midrash works. Speculation, imagination, wandering beyond the text and into God-centered reflection. You know, the bad thing about Midrash is that I don't know if I'm right. The good thing is you don't know if I'm wrong. No. We'll talk more about Midrash in the forums on the next 2 Sundays. Amen.